It's the season of Santa Claus, and it seems he's everywhere. Children anxiously await the arrival of Santa, who is, of course, bearing gifts. But some Christians are worried that most of those children, and their parents as well, don't know who jolly old St. Nicholas really was.
St. Nicholas was a real person, not a fairy, not someone who's flying through the sky and with reindeer, but an actual person who lived and worked and died and had a full life. He had a Christian life because he was actually a bishop, a pastor.
As Director of Communications for the Worldwide Anglican Communion, Canon Jim Rosenthal was always on the lookout for images of bishops. He says he was captivated by a 4th century bishop named Nicholas. Now Rosenthal helps lead an international movement urging churches to reclaim St. Nicholas.
I believe that St. Nicholas and his tradition is something that needs to be recovered, and now.
Rosenthal is founder of the UK-USA St. Nicholas Society.
Children are getting these that say, I met the real and true Santa Claus and Father Christmas.
Every year he dresses up like St. Nicholas, complete with the bishop's staff, called a crozier, and his distinctive hat, called a mitre.
I have to decide if I should wear one of those mitres or this mitre. This is the most pretty one.
He visits churches to help spread the St. Nicholas message.
If we don't recover this tradition, I believe we are going to eventually lose Christmas, any semblance of a religious Christmas.
Nicholas was born in Asia Minor when the new Christian faith was beginning to spread across the Roman Empire.
He came from a very wealthy family. His parents died at an early age. His uncle was a priest. That was the undivided church in those days. There was no Roman Catholic Church or other kinds of churches, one church. And he became a priest like his uncle.
Nicholas rose to leadership in the early church and was named Bishop of Myra, a city on the southern coast of what is now Turkey. During a time of persecution by Roman Emperor Diocletian, Nicholas was imprisoned for his outspoken faith. He was eventually released and continued his ministry until his death on December 6th in the year 343.
And he was known for his generosity and his goodwill because he was very rich. He literally, by the end of his life, gave away all of his fortune. Many stories talk about the fact that he was so generous that he became known as the gift giver.
More and more churches in the U.S. and the UK are finding ways to keep the St. Nicholas stories alive. For example, the Episcopal Cathedral of Chicago hosted a special St. Nicholas exhibit.
The stories of St. Nicholas are wonderful stories of a bishop who cared about his people, who cared very much about the poor.
There are numerous tales of Nicholas doing good deeds, performing miracles, calming the seas, stopping famine, and rescuing children. Separating truth from myth can be difficult.
My guess is that some of the fanciful stories that have moved into the realm of legend and miracle had their roots in very concrete acts of very real kindness and generosity.
One of the most famous stories involves a poor family who couldn't afford marriage dowries for their 3 daughters.
The parents were going to have to sell them off into slavery or into prostitution or whatever, and St. Nicholas came by the house at night and dropped off 3 bags of gold coins.
Some legends say he secretly tossed the bags of gold through an open window, and one landed in stockings or shoes that were drying by the fire, thus launching the tradition of the Christmas stocking. Pawnbrokers have especially embraced the story.
If you go to a pawnbroker shop, you'll see 3 gold balls. Those represent the 3 bags of gold, which we now turn into chocolate coins, that St. Nicholas threw through the window to save 3 girls from slavery or prostitution.
Nicholas has been adopted by many groups beyond pawnbrokers.
And so many people love him, and so many people wanted him as theirs, that he's the patron saint of almost everything. Unwed women, children, which of course is the most prominent, pawnbrokers, sailors and merchants and cookie makers, apothecaries, I mean, you just name it and he has something to do with it.
Many European countries have a long tradition of celebrating the feast day of St. Nicholas on December 6th. Then St. Nicholas evolved into Santa Claus and got all tied up with Christmas.
If you look at the words, the name Santa Claus, you will see it's Santa means saint and Claus is simply an abbreviation from Nicholas. But the reality is he became a secular image.
Not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there.
American writers and advertisers helped disseminate a new myth that made no mention of the jolly old saint's religious connections.
We always talk about roots and being politically correct. Let's be politically correct about Santa Claus and give him his proper title.
Church leaders emphasize that St. Nicholas's generosity was motivated by his Christian faith. The saint was following Jesus' commands to love others, help those who are suffering, give sacrificially, and to do one's good deeds in secret. They say Nicholas is a reminder that Christmas is really about the coming of Jesus.
The problem with Santa Claus as it stands now is it's a substitute for Christmas. Santa Claus instead of the creche, instead of the manger, instead of the nativity scene. This man we would find kneeling at the nativity scene, saying, "This is what I'm here to celebrate as well."
Nicholas may have been called the gift giver, but Christians teach that on Christmas, God gave the world the ultimate gift, Jesus.
Symbolically, as a Christian leader, St. Nicholas is pointing, like other Advent stories, pointing towards this event called Christmas, which as Christians we believe is the most wonderful night of the year.
And that, they say, is the true meaning of St. Nicholas. I'm Kim Lawton reporting.